Hello again. My name's Gabe Zolna. You know, these lawmakers, they spent pretty much all of July the 22nd, 2015 listening to the families that had their loved ones murdered by illegal immigrants. And the mentally deranged lady who was the leader of the House of Representatives. With the eyes rolling in her head, she sent a tweet. The lawmakers, which are all jokes, are listening to the grieving family members about the sanctuary cities and how they lost their loved ones in those sanctuary cities. Nancy Pelosi sends in a tweet saying that she believes it's being politicized for the Donald to help him in the presidential election. I got a question, Nancy. Let's assume one of your lovely siblings was Kate Stanley. How long would it take you to demand a change to eliminate these sanctuary cities? Would it take you a week, a day, an hour? I don't know, Nancy. I don't think it would take you very long at all. But if it's someone else's son or daughter, it doesn't matter to you because you're an elitist. I really truly believe that if a mental health care specialist evaluated many of these members of Congress, members of the Senate, we'd have far fewer members of Congress and members of the Senate. It's absolutely disgusting that Pelosi would do what she did, but pretty much everything she does is disgusting. Remember when she stood on the floor of the House of Representatives? We have to pass this law so we can learn what's in it, referring to Obamacare. I don't understand how the American people put up for this kind of abuse, not only from Nancy Pelosi. Barack Hussein Obama is a heartless individual. He couldn't bother to pick up the phone to contact Katie's family. He couldn't bother to do that. You know why? Because he supports sanctuary cities. You know why? Votes, that's why. He could give a damn about the people. Look at the disrespect for the fallen 5 military personnel in Chattanooga, Tennessee. You want to bet he didn't call any one of those family members either? The whole thing is insane. Barack Obama, within a day or two, sends $29 million to the families in South Carolina and doesn't pick up a telephone to call the families of the military personnel. This is a commander-in-chief. The guy can't throw an effing baseball. A number of years ago, I did a series of videos on the Chosen One when he was at Camp David, and he was showing the American people his marksmanship or his ability to use firearms. And what they did is they took a shotgun and they made it appear as if though he was shooting it The whole thing was insane. If he positioned the shotgun and pulled the trigger the way the shotgun was positioned, he would have broken his shoulder. And I made mention of that in the video. Everything that we see about him is false, including that Sasquatch that he lives with. You think Nancy Pelosi would have said anything like she said if it was her son or her daughter that was murdered? I'm inclined to think not. But when it's someone else's, they could care less. When Joe Biden's son died, Obama gave the eulogy. When Kate's died, Obama did nothing. Nancy Pelosi's tweet said that we shouldn't be second-guessing the police in those cities. How about the police in Baltimore? Should we second-guess them when they're ordered to stand down, as they were by their mayor? Why would the mayor have done that? Why would Stephanie Burke ordered the police to stand down? Well, what do we know? We know she spoke to the chosen one just prior to that stand down order being given. Obama saw an opportunity to burn the city, to further his agenda of race riots. And he ordered her to order the police to stand down. And what happened? Well, from what I heard, 27 drugstores were destroyed, robbed, buildings were destroyed, and there was sufficient drugs stolen to keep Baltimore high. I don't think they needed the drugs. Baltimore was high to begin with. The whole thing's insane. It's absolutely insane. These Baltimore cities would be eliminated in a heartbeat if Nancy Pelosi lost one of her siblings. But when it's the Stanley family or anyone else's family, she could give a damn. And to blame this congressional hearing on grandstanding for the Donald, sickening. At least the Donald had the courtesy to reach out to the Stanley family on more than one occasion. When's this madness going to end? Do you really think it is going to end? Have you not noticed that the events that are occurring are accelerating? They're being thrown at us on a weekly basis. Can you ever remember a time in history that we had this kind of constant insanity take place in this country? I can't. I can't remember a time. Every single week there's a new unbelievable event that occurs. To blame what happened in Chattanooga as a domestic terror attack without any ties to Islam is insane. For the FBI, Ed Reinhold, special agent, to come out and say that on national television, what's that say about the FBI? What's that say about the CIA when it's being run by John Brennan, who's a converted Islamist? What's that say about Barack Hussein Obama? I'm just asking. Nancy Pelosi, I believe, is mentally unbalanced. But she's not alone. We have a number of lawmakers that are mentally unbalanced. You know, I make videos and I say I met with a Congressman Matt Salmon, and I proposed that he proposed 3 bills. I made mention of this before. If I'm boring you, I apologize. If you're a new viewer, you probably haven't heard this before. I had suggested that he propose a bill that puts term limits on members of Congress and prevents them from pulling a Flake, a Jeff Flake. What did Jeff Flake do? Well, he did what a lot of these lawmakers do. He worked as a congressman for 10 years, and then he made the leap to senator. After his 3rd congressional run, he said he wouldn't run anymore. And when he did, he was asked, well, didn't you say you wouldn't run anymore? His response was, I lied. That was the only truthful thing I think he's ever said. I lied. I also suggested that all members of Congress need to be tested before they vote on a bill to make certain that they have an idea as to what's within the bill. Most of them don't have a clue. There's a video that I did videos on where Senator Rand Paul, he's on the floor of the Senate, and he holds up a book. And he says, this book contains, I believe it was 550 or 600 pages. And he says, I have to vote on this bill this afternoon. We don't have time to read our bills. We don't read our own bills. So having them tested would, to me, make a whole lot of sense. When you go for your driver's license, don't they expect you to know the material? You should see what you have to learn to get a pilot's license. I think it's just completely insane. The 3rd bill that I proposed was that all members of Congress are evaluated for their mental competence and drug tested. We have police that are drug tested. We have airline pilots. We have controllers. We have ship captains. Any industry that requires someone's focus. Now, do you not think that lawmakers need to be drug tested? Well, if we had lawmakers drug tested the same way as if we had lawmakers evaluated for their mental competency, we'd have far fewer lawmakers. If we had lawmakers that were required to review bills before they signed the bills, we'd have far fewer laws. I also mentioned that it would make more sense if the lawmakers that make the laws had to abide by the same laws that they make for us. Lawmakers can't be charged for sexual harassment. Lawmakers can do insider trading, and I'm certain there's a host of other things lawmakers can do that we, the citizens that pay them, can't do. Well, after having proposed those 3 bills, I shook the congressman's hand. I also made mention of Michael to the congressman, and I explained a couple of the physical features that differentiate a man from a woman. I won't go into that now, there's no point. In either case, 3 months later, I called to arrange a subsequent meeting with that congressman. And I wanted to learn if he's made any progress on what I proposed, because when I was with him, he agreed that those bills made a whole lot of sense. Well, I had called to schedule an appointment. I was called back with a date and time. Then I was called and I was asked, well, what is it that you want to discuss with the congressman? And I told the person that called me. I then got a call back and said that the congressman couldn't make it. He had to attend a funeral, which, in all probability, was true. And I asked, well, can we schedule a new appointment? And then I was told, well, we'll see what his schedule permits. Folks, we don't have a government that functions for the people. We haven't had that for a very long time. And we're going to have an awful lot less based on what I believe is going to happen in the not too distant future. I don't know, folks. There's no one to go to. You can't go to your Attorney General. She's in the bag. Loretta Lynch used to attend university with Eric H. Holder Jr.'s wife. They belong to the same black sorority. What do you think they discussed? I don't know, folks. You know, I did a video, I believe yesterday. One of my viewers thinks I'm going to be taken out. And hey, if that happens, it happens. But I know that I've impacted an awful lot of people all over the world. I get emails from Spain, Holland, Romania, Hungary. I get emails from the Middle East. And I read every one of them. I have to get rid of the trolls. You know what I find fascinating? If you take a look at some of the comments that are made, and the people that dislike my videos, you have to wonder, what's to dislike? Do they dislike the truth? For you, members of Congress that do nothing to protect us, what you're missing, you're not also protecting your own siblings. No different than Nancy Pelosi wouldn't have sent out that idiotic tweet if one of her siblings was laying in the ground where Kit Stanley is now laying in the ground. You think not? You're not thinking.